Welcome to the year 2030. Welcome to my city, or should I say, our city. I don't own anything. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't own any appliances or any clothes. It might seem odd to you, but it makes perfect sense for us in this city.
The new design of regional plans is to redesign all cities to transit-oriented development, high-density development in the center of cities where you have no private space.
In our city, we don't pay any rent because someone else is using our free space whenever we do not need it. My living room is used for business meetings when I am not there.
And that goes right back to the 2030 agenda, the Great Reset agenda, where you'll own nothing, but you'll be happy. Well, if I own nothing, who owns everything? Wealth is not a currency unit. Wealth is not gold. Wealth is not Bitcoin. Wealth is goods and services.
Shopping? I can't really remember what that is. For most of us, it has been turned into choosing things to use. Sometimes I find this fun, and sometimes I just want the algorithm to do it for me.
They're heading towards, and they openly state it, they're heading towards the extinction of the human race and changing it into something else, into something which is more of a computer.
My biggest concern is all the people who do not live in our city. Those we lost on the way. Those who decided that it became too much, all this technology. Those who felt obsolete and useless when robots and AI took over big parts of our jobs. Those who got upset with the political system and turned against it. They live different kinds of lives outside of the city. Some have formed little self-supplying communities. Others just stayed in the empty and abandoned houses in small 19th century villages.
Their future is one where the sky's dark, the seas are brown, and you're arrested for things you haven't even done yet.
Even in the World Economic Forum's own articles, they talk about by that year, they hope to be able to surveil people's thoughts and even their dreams.
Once in a while, I get annoyed about the fact that I have no real privacy. Nowhere I can go and not be registered. I know that somewhere, everything I do, think, and dream of is recorded. I just hope that nobody will use it against me. All in all, it is a good life. Much better than the path we were on.
What I see is the gradual outsourcing of human reproduction to technology. What does that mean? The full outsourcing of human reproduction in all its stages to technology. Well, it means that you have full control of the numbers and full control over the type of human being that is going to come out. If you want to see the kind of world we're moving forward, it's this world. And to just give a glimpse of it, it's a world which is fully automatized, where everything is measured, where emotions are replaced by numbers, rankings, indicators, where we live as units.
This equation has four factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Bill Gates is on the spectrum of autistic. Would you agree?
He can't be autistic in the genuine sense. He's more of a psychopath. If you have to make a diagnosis, because autism impairs you to the degree that you can't anticipate the responses of other people. These people are operating on a much higher level. It's much nearer to what would be psychopathy. Now, whether they get some weird traits that look like autism, I don't know. But autistic people are victims. They're not going to be taking over the world. They're sociopaths.
I'm entering into the second part of my research about the World Economic Forum. At the beginning, the formation, you had people like Aurelio Peccei who came and spoke about the limits of growth and did a Malthusian speech in, I think it was 1973 World Economic Forum, which was seen as a centerpiece. And really they were talking about humans being the enemy. Humans being the enemy. The enemy of humans is humans. The people in the World Economic Forum, they flock to that idea. They flock, and they only bring in people who have that same ideology.
Now, 11 billion people, still a lot, but the good news is that the faster we improve health, the faster family size goes down.
And then you see it being deployed.
I would argue that WEF is a front organization, just like Epstein was a front man. They're the front people for the same ideology and the same entity, if you will, whatever that entity is.
The non-godly system erodes human rights and leads to a structure where the superhuman feels that he has the right to decide who lives and dies, because they don't believe in the sanctity of life. They believe in survival of the fittest.
And then the final solution, which is a year to 2 years off, is the vaccine. So we've got to go full speed ahead on all three fronts.
Just to head off the conspiracy theorists, maybe we shouldn't call the vaccine the final solution. Maybe just the best solution.
In Revelation 18:23, it says, "For thy merchants, thy businessmen, were the great men of the earth." It says the merchants are the greatest men of that generation. And by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. The word sorceries there used in our English Bible is the Greek word pharmacia. It spoke in the first century about medication, that in the last days, this last political beast system that arises up on the global scene with 10 kings over it, that it's going to use pharmacia to deceive all nations. The man of sin, the greatest tyrant the world is ever going to see. Everything you're seeing now is preparing the stage. The world leaders think they're going to get the power, but it's about to be taken off them by this political leader, a brilliant man inspired by the devil himself. When you go to Revelation chapter 13, you read about the rise of this world global leader. 2,000 years ago, the Bible predicts that this man of sin is going to put a mark on the right hand and forehead, and you will use that to trade, to buy, to sell, to function in society.
We've been having the beast system for quite some time, and it's only been evolving in power. And so every country is going along with this COVID thing, just like every country is going to have to go along with the tracking, and every country is going to have to just go along with it, exactly what the Bible says.
The very words of the book of the Apocalypse concerning the reign of the Antichrist. No one could buy or sell unless he bore the mark.
They're going towards where you cannot buy or sell unless you have an ID, a tattoo, a digital ID, a brand, an etch, a mark.
There is no evidence of this, and let's not equivocate. There is no microchip or tracking device or some sort of other product that's attached to these vaccines.
Yeah, I think there's a, look.